Around 4,000 years ago, one single migration into Scotland erased almost an entire people's bloodline in a matter of generations, replaced by strangers nobody saw coming. And right now, on a handful of Scottish islands, people are opening DNA test results and finding an entirely different bloodline still quietly running through their blood. One that's been sitting there, hidden, for over 1,000 years. Everyone assumes Scottish ancestry starts with the Celts. It doesn't. What actually happened is far stranger than that. 10 hidden facts, all backed by named research, starting now. Number 1 is Scotland's first ancestors were Ice Age hunter-gatherers. Around 12,000 years ago, the last Ice Age finally loosened its grip on northern Britain. Small groups of Mesolithic hunter-gatherers moved in behind the retreating glaciers, following the ice as it pulled back north. They settled along rivers and coastlines, living on fish, shellfish, and wild game in a landscape that was still recovering from thousands of years buried under ice. Geneticists call this Western hunter-gatherer ancestry. Thousands of years of later migration diluted it heavily, but traces of it are still detectable in many modern Scots today, the very first layer in an incredibly long genetic record. Number 2 is farmers from Anatolia changed Scotland permanently. Around 4000 BC, a new population reached Scotland from continental Europe, arriving on boats loaded with animals and seed grain. Their ancestry traced back to Anatolia in what's now Turkey. With them came something the hunter-gatherers had never had: farming. Communities stopped constantly moving and began raising livestock, growing crops, and building settlements meant to last for generations. Ancient DNA shows these newcomers didn't simply replace the existing population, they mixed with it, and that blend is still visible today in the monuments they left behind. Skara Brae, the Ring of Brodgar, the Callanish stones, each one a physical trace of Scotland's Neolithic revolution. Number 3 is the Celts changed Scotland's culture, far more than its genes. Celtic language and culture spread through Scotland during the Bronze and Iron Ages. But the genetic evidence doesn't show a matching wave of settlers arriving to impose it. Local populations seem to have adopted Celtic speech, belief, and custom on their own. They stayed biologically continuous with the people already living there. Hill forts rose, new traditions spread, society reorganized itself. Underneath all of it, much of the older ancestry simply stayed exactly where it was. Number 4 is the Picts never actually vanished. For centuries, historians treated the Picts as a mysterious people who simply disappeared, wiped off the map without explanation. In a 2023 study published in PLOS Genetics, paleogeneticists Adeline Morez and Linus Girdland Flink sequenced 2 Pictish genomes from 5th to 7th century Scotland. The Picts, it turned out, descended from local Iron Age populations, not some outside group as medieval legend claimed. They share strong genetic continuity with people living in Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and Northumbria today. The same study found something else too. Orcadian Picts were genetically distinct from their mainland counterparts, even under one shared cultural label. Number 5 is later migrations kept adding new layers, long before and after any single big event shook things up. Roman occupation reached southern Scotland, but left only a thin genetic trace, more presence than population, more roads than people. Anglo-Saxon influence concentrated in the borders and lowlands. Norman nobles arrived by royal invitation, not conquest. Flemish craftsmen settled during the medieval period, drawn by trade rather than war. Irish migration added yet another layer, starting with the early kingdom of Dalriata and continuing all the way into the 19th century. Almost none of these waves replaced the people already there. They blended in, and you can still see it in surnames like Bruce, Stewart, Fraser, and Kennedy. Number 6 is the Vikings left a deeper genetic mark than most people realize. Starting around AD 793, Norwegian settlers didn't just raid Scotland's coasts and sail home. They stayed, building permanent communities across Orkney, Shetland, and the Hebrides, bringing entire families rather than warbands looking to plunder and leave. A 2019 genetic landscape study led by geneticist Jim Wilson at the University of Edinburgh, published in PNAS, found that Orkney and Shetland together carry roughly 20 to 25% Norwegian ancestry, a figure that has barely shifted since the Dark Ages. Some individual islands, including Yell, run even higher, among the highest concentrations of Norse DNA found anywhere outside Scandinavia itself. Number 7 is the Bell Beaker. People wiped out most of Britain's earlier Neolithic DNA and did it almost overnight by evolutionary standards. Around 2400 BC, the Bell Beaker culture spread into Britain, named for its bell-shaped pottery and advanced metalworking skills. It carried an entirely different ancestry, linked to the Yamnaya steppe herders of the Pontic-Caspian region far to the east. In a landmark 2018 study published in Nature, geneticist Inigo Olalde and colleagues found something staggering. Beaker-associated migration replaced roughly 90% of Britain's existing Neolithic gene pool. It happened within a few hundred years, a blink of an eye in genetic terms. It remains one of the largest population turnovers ever documented anywhere in prehistoric Europe. Scotland's own ancient DNA record is thinner than England's, but the same steppe ancestry took hold here too. The Y chromosome lineage, R1b, was completely absent before this moment. Afterward, it came to dominate Scottish male lineages entirely. Countless Scottish families still carry it today, whether they know it or not. Number 8 is Scottish DNA, includes genuinely unexpected Mediterranean connections. Steppe ancestry, the same kind introduced by the Bell Beaker migration, became a major part of Scotland's genetic makeup, especially strong in places like Orkney. But Y DNA testing has also turned up something else entirely. A small number of Scottish men carry rare paternal lineages, including branches of the EM35 haplogroup, more commonly associated with Mediterranean and North African populations. Nobody knows the exact route these lineages took into Britain or exactly when. What's clear is that ancient Scotland was never as isolated as it looks on a modern map. Number 9 is Scotland's genetic map still mirrors its ancient kingdoms, more than 1,000 years after those kingdoms fell apart entirely. That same Edinburgh-led research divided Scotland into 6 distinct genetic clusters: the Borders, the Southwest, the Northeast, the Hebrides, Orkney, and Shetland. The sharpest genetic boundary of all runs almost exactly along the line that once separated the Picts from the Gaels near the River Forth, a border that hasn't existed on any map for 1,000 years. The outlines of kingdoms that stopped existing over a millennium ago are still readable in the DNA of the people living directly on top of them, as if the old borders were never really erased at all. Number 10 is modern DNA testing is still uncovering Scotland's secrets right now, in real time. Ongoing projects, including the University of Edinburgh's Viking genes research, build on the earlier Orcades and Viking studies. They keep comparing living Scots against ancient genomes, sample by sample. New findings keep surfacing: unexpected Viking ancestry in one family, Bronze Age steppe ancestry in another. The story keeps rewriting itself with every new genome sequenced, and it isn't close to finished. Scotland's genetic origin was never the story of one people arriving once and staying put. It's the story of multiple major migrations layering on top of each other across 12,000 years, each one leaving something behind rather than wiping the slate clean. Hunter-gatherers, farmers, steppe herders, Picts, Norse settlers, and everyone who came after. None of them ever fully erased what came before them. Somewhere in the DNA of nearly every person with Scottish ancestry today, every one of those journeys is still quietly written down, waiting to be read.